Right, so I'm going to show you guys how to remove your steering wheel on your VW bus. I am not going to take the steering wheel off right now, but I'm going to show you how that I do it, the tools that I use, and how it works, and because it is a little bit more tough than your regular steering wheel. One of the things you'll notice on your VW bus is there is no holes here. You know, your typical steering wheel will have a triangular shaped set of holes that you use to put a puller on to take your steering wheel off. On a VW bus, it does not have that, and you need to get a little more creative to get that steering wheel off. And they are always on super tight. It takes quite a bit of. So if you think, man, I think I'm going to break it, usually sometimes you do, but most of the time you can do it without damaging the steering wheel if you do it this way. But every once in a while, what you have on the bottom of your steering wheel is you'll see there's a ring around here. You need to take that ring off, and so you're going to have to take off this turn signal switch, has to be removed, and then you take the little ring off of the bottom for your turn signal reset, and you go ahead and remove that ring. What's that called? I can't remember the name of it. It's actually, there's a name for that when your turn signals turn back off. And you take that off, and then take the ring off, and then what you'll have is sometimes on this very edge here, the casting of the plastic or whatever it was that they used in that era is hanging over a little bit. So you have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes you can, if you have that issue, you can actually put, it says is in the very middle, it's all metal where this thing bolts to it. Okay, where this little ring bolts to it, it's actually metal right there. It's that pot metal stuff that you see on the inside of your steering wheel here. This is pot metal. So sometimes you can cut a washer in half and then put half on each side to make sure that you're not damaging your steering wheel to do this. So you can actually get it up with no damage if you do that. Like if you take a large washer and you cut it in half and you put half on each side. Let me show you the tool you use to get this thing off. This here is a gear puller set that I think I got it from Harbor Freight Tools, and they're not expensive. Nothing from Harbor Freight is really very expensive. And here's what I do. So this is actually a bearing clamp right here. I'll take these two halves and clamp it to the bottom of the steering wheel. So I'll run it through here, clamp it on. Let me see if I can get this camera set up for you guys. All right, so there you go. Looks like you guys got that. This is your normal steering wheel puller. You cannot use one of these to do the job. I just want to let you guys know that again. If you think, hey, you need a steering wheel puller like this, this will not work. So what you do is you take your two halves of your bearing clamp and you put them on your steering wheel upside down like this on the bottom of your steering wheel. And then what you want to do is if you want to ensure that you're not going to have damage to your steering wheel, you'll put two washer halves on the top of here. So you'll have a washer half here and washer half here. You take a regular big washer, cut it in half, and put it on there. You can look at the bottom of your steering wheel and actually see if there's any of this plastic that's hanging low. If it isn't, then you might be okay without it. If you do happen to damage your steering wheel, the best way to fix it is use J&B weld and then fix it. Go ahead and patch it up and sand it and paint it. So if you have a black steering wheel, you can get satin black from Krylon, and it matches pretty good to that steering wheel if you do happen to crack it. It happens sometimes. So even if you do it, because there's so much pressure on this, every once in a while you'll have one that'll still crack. So, but normally you can get it off without breaking it doing this. So you use that, okay? You use the two halves of the bearing clamp. You go ahead and with this set, you bolt it together. Where's the right bolts? There we go. Use these bolts here, tighten it up nice and tight so that it doesn't want to slip off. Tighten it up nice and tight with these, okay? And this will hold in place. And then what you have here is at the top of here you have these things here that go in here, right? This is the way you normally pull off a gear. If you guys have like a gear that you're trying to pull off of something, that's what you use, this tool. The wrong one. But anyway, so you put those two in there, and then you slide this thing here in place, and it's actually a puller that's like this. So let me see if I can get this assembled. Give me 1 second here, guys. Hang on. All right, so it looks like this here when it's all assembled. And then what you do is you just tighten this part down, okay, and it butts up against here. You know, push your wire down in and make sure this nut's off, and then just tighten this thing down until all of a sudden the steering wheel will pop off. This is the way that you can do this without damaging. I mean, there's always a potential of damaging, so you know, keep that in mind. But you can do this if you're very careful, especially if you space right here. You put a little half washer here and half washer there. If you have, you know, the casting of your steering wheel is hanging low, then you use that. But that's how you do it. You know, you just tighten this down. This being clamped on there, it's not going to go anywhere. And I will tell you that when you tighten this down, it's going to be a big, you know, usually I'll put this nut back on just a little bit, one to two threads, because it really pops really hard when they come loose. These steering wheels are on there. And when you do put the steering wheel back on, it's a really good idea to use anti-seize on the shaft, because they are tending to get really stuck on there. It's even worse than a regular car. If you pulled steering wheels off of cars, usually there is a pretty good sized jolt. But on the VW bus, it seems like it's quite a bit more. So if you're tightening it down, you think, oh no, it's not going to come off. It's not going to come off. No, just keep going. It'll come off. And hopefully it doesn't crack the casting. Just because there's so much stress on there, it is possible. It's not, I can't say 100% of the time you're not going to do it, but if you use this tool, this is the least likely way to have damage to your steering wheel. All right, so there's another guy online that has a video on this subject, and it was kind of funny. It was like the guy from Europe. Yeah, I'm second gen, guys. I'm from, my family's from England too, so second gen. So you guys in England, it's a little shout out for you guys. But yeah, my family's second gen. So my grandmother, you know, was called Mum. I didn't know what that was when I was a kid. I thought Mummy. My mom's calling my mom Mummy. I thought that's kind of crazy. She's not dead. So anyway, that's basically it for the steering wheel. And how to get it off. You shouldn't have any problem if you have this tool. I don't know the tool part number. I think it's worn off. Let me see if it's still on, but it's going to be changed by now anyway. I think this is from Harbor Freight. The pull number, the part number, the old part number for their tool is this one here. I doubt it's the same. They seem to change them all the time. And I think this was from Harbor Freight. I'm not sure. But you can check and see they do have those, this gear puller set. I don't think it was in the neighborhood of 10 or 15, 20 bucks. I mean, it wasn't much money. And it's worth it if it saves your steering wheel. It's the best way to get it off without damage. All right, so that's it for the removing the steering wheel on your VW bus. Talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you comment. That does help the video, you know, so that someone else looking for it will find it a little bit easier. So any comments really help out. Thanks a lot.